Sam Bankman-Fried convicted of fraud in stunning FTX crash. And hi, friends, this is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. It looks like the trial is now over regarding FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, and we have a guilty, and yet more guilty. We actually haven't talked about this for a while. I mean, I could, do every single detail of the trial as it went on, but it's just too many details that you don't need to know. And in fact, this is the juicy stuff, right? What's going on? How long is he going to get? What happened to his friends? These kind of things. So let's just jump right in and check out some details. And there's some really interesting quotes regarding this. So let's take a look at one here. He has lost a lot of his arguments for a reduced sentence by taking the case to trial, by not accepting responsibility, and by essentially arguing at every turn that he at least did not commit fraud. Those are very kinds of factors that cause prosecutors to ask for very, very high sentences. So I think you guys get the gist of it, is that, you can plead guilty and chances are you'll get a lighter sentence, or you can try to fight it, go to trial. But then if you do that, they're going to throw the book at you, right? So you have 7 charges. Wire fraud could be 20 years. Another wire fraud could be 20 years. There's multiple cases of wire fraud. Conspiracy to commit wire fraud, that's 20. Then you also have conspiracy to commit securities fraud, that's 5. And conspiracy to commit money laundering, that's another 20. I was looking at something there, if they really want to add it all up, it could be 110 years, that kind of thing. We'll see. This is a quote from the attorney. He's saying here, "We are very disappointed with the result. Mr. Bankman-Fried's maintained his innocence and will continue to vigorously fight the charges against him." Good luck. Even if you get it reduced by half, it's still 50 years or whatever. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. One thing I want to point out is I actually did an interview with someone who worked at FTX, pretty high up. I can't say the person's name, but if you do want to listen to that, check it out. Not a lot of people heard it, and I'll just say it really gave an interesting inside look. Moreover, there's a really fascinating key point. If you've been following the channel, you would know this. True story. Now, I can't verify it, but according to the employee there that we talked to, FTX actually had a channel with my name on it in Slack. It might have been by Sam Bankman-Fried himself. The basic gist of it was that I was the only one out there on YouTube / social media trying to warn people about all of the scammy FTX crypto YouTubers. This is a real thing. And you can go back to the old videos and stuff like that. I made a ton of stuff about this stuff because I was like, guys, it looks like they're all in cahoots, etc. And I turned out to be right. And moreover, Sam Bankman-Fried was actually kind of nervous about that, because the general gist of it is that they wanted to sort of quietly keep things under the, which I guess they say under the rug or in the closet, however you want to say it, that things weren't going so great at FTX. And the basic idea that, if I figured out that the FTX started, canceling contracts with people, and some of the YouTubers lied about it and some didn't. And then ultimately they got sued. We're still going to see what happens with the FTX YouTubers. 2 of them settled. That would be the Tom Nash guy and also to the Meet Kevin guy. They settled, but the other ones I have not heard yet. So we'll keep following that. I just want to mention that because the trial of FTX is over, but there are still other people involved, because frankly, guys, there's a lot of money involved with this stuff and people want their money back. I'm sure you understand. Let's read some more details. It's actually interesting. So moreover, this was sort of how the trial went along regarding, was it going in his favor or not? And that's kind of the whole way it wasn't going in his favor. Let's read through some of this stuff. You'll see what I'm saying. Bankman-Fried was forced to prepare for trial from a Brooklyn federal jail after the judge revoked his bail in August. Kaplan determined that Bankman-Fried likely committed witness tampering on 2 occasions, including once he shared Ellison's private writings with the reporter. So that doesn't help you. And essentially, if you guys know, Bankman-Fried's parents are both Stanford law professors. So, being at home is a massive advantage. And then they said, screw that, you're going to Brooklyn. Brooklyn jail, that is. Moreover, the judge also ruled against Bankman-Fried on several pretrial motions. So again, I could have went through all these things, but it's better just wait till the end. Holding that he couldn't call 7 expert witnesses to testify about the crypto industry, political donations, Alameda's balance sheets, and the use of customer funds. So basically, the judge wasn't allowing them to call witnesses. Whether or not that would have changed the trial, who knows? But I'm just telling you, this is sort of, the trial was not going in his favor. Moreover, it says here, the trial itself featured another setback for Bankman-Fried following an uncommon proceeding. And this part, guys, to be frank, I think it's really an odd one. And we'll read it here and you'll see what I'm saying here. The judge blocked Bankman-Fried's team from telling jurors about advice he got from lawyers, but not before putting the former CEO on the stand for 3 hours outside the presence of the jury to preview his testimony. So basically, the judge wanted to hear what he had to say before letting any jury hear. That part I thought was really weird. Moreover, I thought this was kind of interesting, and you can see the headlines here: downfall of crypto billionaire, conviction of Sam Bankman-Fried. Sam Bankman-Fried convicted of fraud over FTX collapse. The jury itself, they were all from New York. I can see here. I think there was 9 of them. Yeah, 3 men. Actually, 9. Yeah, 9 women, 3 men, and they got free pizza. That's really what it said. It's a government-sponsored pizza. I just thought it was kind of a funny thing. The trial itself was 18 days, so it wasn't actually that long. My understanding that the deliberation was, I think it was like 5 hours. So it didn't take that long for them to decide whether or not guilty or not guilty. And then this was a quote that was interesting. It says, once SBF took the stand, it basically became, do I believe him or not? And that's coming from a federal prosecutor saying, I think the jury just looked at him and said, okay, I don't believe him. So, this is the issue again. You're fighting it. And, if you lose, if it goes to trial, you lose, you can get the book thrown at you. And then moreover, having him take the stand, I mean, it's part of his arguments was like, I don't remember, I don't recall, that kind of stuff. Because that's essentially the only defense that you have in some situations, right? They do that all the time, and you guys know how these legal proceedings go. And then the jury has to decide, well, do I believe he doesn't remember? Do I believe he doesn't recall? And the prosecution had a great way to sum it up for jurors to decide. And the basic gist was, do you believe that Sam Bankman-Fried would just lose billions of dollars and completely be unaware of what was happening? Because that was his defense, like, oh, I didn't know, right? That kind of thing. Moreover, here's a quote. He says here, also required jurors to believe that an MIT physics graduate who ran $2 billion companies and who was testifying before Congress was actually clueless, right? So, a guy who's got tons of connections in the government, plus, running all of this money at these companies, would he actually not know anything about it? Moreover, this is another interesting point by the prosecution. It says here, to find Bankman-Fried not guilty, Roos told jurors on Wednesday they would have to conclude, quote, he had no idea what was happening at his own company and had no idea what he was doing was wrong, right? Because there's 2 different things going on. One is like, I just don't have any control of my company. I don't know anything that's going on. And 2, I didn't know we were doing anything illegal, right? That kind of stuff. And it's interesting because when you relate this back to, say, even the FTX YouTubers kind of thing, is part of the argument, it's a part of the argument that Sam Bankman-Fried tried to make as well, is I'm too stupid, I just don't know, I'm terrible at business, or 2, I just don't remember. And these are sort of common arguments that you'll make in these situations when you're guilty, because what other argument do you have, right? I didn't know, I'm too stupid, I don't remember. Because it's not, yes, it's lying, but it's harder to prove than saying, like, for example, say, I never signed my name, which is a little bit easier because you're like, hey, here's a document where you signed your name, opposed to where if someone says, like, I don't remember, like, it's hard to, like, to get someone to get them in court saying, oh, you totally remember, right? That kind of stuff. Moreover, this is actually interesting. This is coming also from the prosecution side. This was on the steps of the courthouse, and he said here that Damian Williams said Bankman-Fried carried out a fraud, quote, designed to make him the king of crypto. While the cryptocurrency industry might be new, this kind of corruption is as old as time. And he went on to say, this is essentially a warning for those who think, quote, they are clever enough to talk their way out of it. And if you don't know, John Ray, as we've talked about earlier before, was in charge of the bankruptcy stuff regarding FTX. He also presided over the Enron stuff. And this is a quote from him. He said, insolvency expert John Ray, who took over FTX when it filed for bankruptcy, said, quote, the complete absence of trustworthy financial information was worse than Enron, whose bankruptcy he previously saw. Another thing worth mentioning too is what happens to Sam Bankman-Fried's lieutenants, / inner circle. There's a possibility that none of them see prison time, whereas Sam Bankman-Fried gets the max prison sentence. There is a possibility of that, which is really crazy, because this is just my opinion on this. They all pleaded guilty, right? And they all decided to, work with the prosecution, work with the state. But my opinion is that they probably knew things. They pleaded guilty. They're in the inner circle, and this idea that only one person, was in charge of everything, and only one person's at fault, and only one person goes to prison, seems really odd to me. And again, this is just my opinion. I feel like they're trying to make Sam Bankman-Fried the fall guy or fall person here, and there could be a lot more of the people that could be implicated in any number of ways. Because this is real. This kind of stuff was pushed on Wall Street. It was pushed by many of the social media influencers, etc. There's a lot of people who have interest in just saying, hey, it's only one person's fault and no one else's fault at all, right? Do you guys see where I'm going with this? It just seems kind of odd that the way that this is shaking down. The other thing too, which I think is certainly worth mentioning is, and it's actually really quite interesting, is like, will he, go to prison and never hear from him again? Or, will he come out and start selling classes and write a book and do all these kind of things? Because as I talked about before in just a previous video, if you know the Wolf of Wall Street story and the Jordan Belfort story, basically the guy goes to prison for a couple of years, gets out and becomes like a celebrity, which is kind of crazy. Would there be the same situation with Sam Bankman-Fried? There is a possibility of that. I think the difference here, though, and I think this is a big difference, is that Sam Bankman-Fried has so many entanglements, be it government, and this is both parties, guys. I mean, for real, they gave money to both parties. Moreover, you're talking about he has a lot of connections on Wall Street. So, you're dealing with powerful people in all kinds of places. And there's, a lot of people have an interest in just pointing the fingers at just one person, locking him away forever, and then trying to forget about it all. So that's my opinion on that. These kind of things, generally speaking, stay away from, stay out of, and don't follow the hype all the time. I was never into this stuff. I warned you guys about this stuff for a long time. I was right, even though everyone else was mean to me and said, oh, Chris, you're so dumb. This is the future. FTX is awesome. And all of these other people on YouTube took a lot of money from FTX. So they're all in on it too. But yet again, I mentioned before, they're facing a class action. So we'll see the end result. Or we may not. Who knows? I'll try to report if I do hear anything about the other ones. Like I said, two of the YouTubers had settled. That would be the Tom Nash guy and Meet Kevin. The other ones, I haven't heard anything about it yet. So I'm just assuming the case is still ongoing. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, and also my thoughts at the end on do you believe that this one person all by himself is responsible for everything and everyone else is innocent, or do you believe that there's a possibility that there are more people involved, just that it's good to have a fall person? So that's just my opinion on that one. Love to hear your thoughts on that. So thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Now, before we get to part 2, I have to give a quick shout out for today's sponsor. It's FTX US. You've probably heard of them before. They're very popular as a very large crypto exchange. They have millions of users on it, trading crypto. That's not my thing. I don't know how to do analysis on these things. I think they're speculative and very volatile. It's just not for me.
One of the largest U.S. regulated cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, trusted by millions of users to buy, sell, track, and trade both crypto and NFTs.
They've been the ones that are going out, investing in and buying other crypto exchanges that are struggling. So they've been growing very quickly. They bought a chunk of Robinhood. They bought a chunk of BlockFi.
I have to decide if I want to do more, but know that if I'm doing more, it's just a cash grab. Because I got 10 days to make these videos. But hey, I'm going to be transparent about it. Hey, it's a lot of money. It's like, a couple $1,000 a video. And for 30 seconds, read, whatever.
I love the game of money and climbing that wealth pyramid and things like that. I think it's fun.
And this is a red flag that everybody should be paying attention to. I'll explain in just a moment, right after I mention that if you want to take advantage of buying the crypto dip, check out our sponsor today, FTX.